Welcome to Beer, Bourbon, and Games. Today on the channel I have another exciting interview. We are going to be sitting down with Norm from Funk Brewing. So we're going to start really simple. We're just going to have you kind of tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and talk about the brewery and kind of how it got started.
Well, I'm Norm. My name's Jon Norman. I go by Norm, and started this company with my partner Kyle Funk. We know each other because we are brother-in-laws, so we married a set of sisters, how we knew each other. So that was luck that we get along and like each other. And then even more luck that we started a business together, right? And are doing really well so far. But how did we get started? Truth be told, I'm an Anheuser-Busch guy for all of my life. And I used to work for a company that was headquartered in St. Louis, so every event, everything was sponsored by Anheuser-Busch. I drank Bud Light or Michelob, and it wasn't until, a little over 30 that Kyle Funk, after just, hey, you got to try these craft beers, and try and slowly working me into some wheat beers and the Hoegaardens, and then to the Stone IPA, and you know, we keep making some moves, and Sierra Nevada, like all the classics, and finally it was not on accident. I asked my wife to pick me up just a 6-pack of something to watch football, and she got me a 6-pack of Dogfish Head 60 Minute.
Okay.
And I drank all of them. And on a Thursday night, and I had to go to work the next day, and I was like, and in my head, I can drink 6 Budweisers, no sweat, and run a mile. Well, I drank these, I stood up, and I went, oh, this is going to be bad tomorrow. It wasn't bad, it was awesome. And that's when it hit me. Craft beer, there's something to it. There's something to this craft. It's more than just flavor. And then I was hooked. And long story short, I found myself a homebrew kit from a cool place in Lancaster. It's not there anymore. It was Mr. Steve's Homebrew.
Okay.
It was called, and I had a turkey fryer, and I bought a couple igloo cooler and some buckets, and I tried it in my garage, and then Kyle the same tried it in his garage. He's a mechanical engineer, so his went from a turkey fryer and an igloo cooler to, hey, check out this setup that I wired this control panel to do this, and I was like, what? So it was like, some brew pubs are probably like, wow, that setup is amazing. I wish I had that, right? So that was it. It was in both our garages, and I say that most cool things start in a garage, right? So Nirvana, Apple, and Funk Brewing, along with many cool things, start in a garage. So that's kind of our story, and I kept pressing him. My background's business, and I kept pressing him on, hey, let's do a business, and finally he said, hey Norm, let's go. Let's do this business. I'm ready to I'll make the beers, you do the business, let's go. I want to call it Awesome Brewing Company. And I said, that's great, Kyle, I'm out. He was like, what? You say all my beers are awesome. I go, your beers are awesome. That's why I want to make this company, but we can't call it that. And so we argued back and forth, not in a bad way, but we were just drinking some beers at a fire, right, where most good ideas come from, and just throwing them back and forth, and all of a sudden I'm like, dude, your last name's Funk. He goes, my last name's Funk. And there it was. So shortly thereafter, about 6 months later, we went to a brewing school in Colorado, and they took him with the brewer. I went with the business guy, and we came back to Pennsylvania. We begged a bunch of banks. We got laughed out of a lot of banks, and I like to rep them. M&T Bank gave us a shot and said, "Hey, we'll fund your dream. Let's go." And that was 2013. We made our first batch of beer January 2014, and here we are.
Look who's laughing now.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. For one, I love St. Louis. I'm a Cardinals fan.
Okay, of course.
So I did go to Anheuser-Busch when I was there. I had to. I mean,
sure.
Everyone likes to hate on AB InBev, but you know what? They're doing something right. They're making a ton of money, and the horses are cool. That's all I wanted to see. I wanted to see the horses.
Well, they do a great. I mean, they make a really good beer. Like, you say what you want, it's a very consistent beer. Anywhere you get it, anywhere in the world, it's a Budweiser, and you know it is.
Yeah, it's going to taste the exact same, and to be able to scale it like that and have the same water chemistry and everything every single time, they're doing it right. So,
sure.
I mean, you can hate them as much as you want, but...
And with their Natty Light brand, they're on the cutting edge of a lot of things that you don't really, like, I don't know if I can say it, Natterdays are delicious.
Yeah.
Right?
I got one just to try it because everyone was talking about it. I'm like, you know what, this isn't actually half bad. I can't really get myself to like any of those, like White Claws or Trulies. I have like the seltzers from breweries, like Levante does a really good one, and Oak Brook does, and Black Forest, but all the ones that are mass produced taste like static TV and someone's yelling at me what the flavor is supposed to be. So haven't liked them, but yeah, they do a great job. So
But they find themselves a nice niche, and
yeah, they unfortunately buy up some places, and people don't like that. But hey, that's kind of business. It's what you're doing. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the Elizabethtown area, and I've never been to the Emmaus location, but can you talk about a little bit of what people can expect at each location?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Emmaus is where we're from, where we started. That's where we make the majority of our beer. We co-manufacture some beer with some really great partners. But in Emmaus, when you go there, it's the brewery. So when you're inside, it is the experience of, hey, I'm here, and a tour consists of, there's the brew house, it's right there. Here's fermenters 1 through 6. Oh yeah, don't touch it, please, because you can. Here's our bright tank. So everything's right there, and you feel there's a really cool vibe, especially with a lot of stainless steel like that. You're right there on the floor where this beer, right? I'm drinking the beer that was made on this floor and came from this tank. And there's a really cool feeling to that. And then in the back, there's an awesome beer garden. So we have a nice outside area. We've got a tent and a lot of tables, and it's got a really good vibe. A feel on a beautiful day. It's packed and awesome. It's a great experience. So that's what it's like there in Emmaus. And then here in Elizabethtown, it is also a great experience, but it feels more brew pub style, right? So we're not making the beer in here. There's plenty of pictures of it, so you can be in Emmaus while you're in E-Town. But it has, so we have a kitchen here, right? So we've got some really awesome food. We have all the same beers, all the same to-go beers, and it has more of a quiet brew pub kind of vibe up here in the front. And in Emmaus, we have food trucks. So there's some really awesome food trucks in Lehigh Valley, and that's how we handle food up there.
Okay.
So they're both great experiences. They're very different from each other. So they're not that far away. So I would encourage you, if you've been to one, don't just check the one out.
And is the Emmaus location fully open right now?
It is. It is now fully open.
Okay.
Yes.
And for all the beer nerds out there, you said you have 6 fermenters and you've got a bright tank. What is your brewing system size?
We have a 15-barrel brew house.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yep. So the majority of our tanks are 30 barrels. So we double batch that every time. So unless we're doing something small or just a draft only fun, we have some 15s we work with, but our 6 30 barrels are what we do. So we double batch that up, and we're typically doing a full canning run every Wednesday.
Okay.
We have a mobile canner that comes in, and so that same floor that we brew on, the same floor that you sit on when you're in there, a canning line on Wednesdays, a canning line takes up that whole space, and it turns 30 barrels of beer into about 240 cases of awesome beer in a couple hours.
How often are you brewing? Once or twice a week?
At least twice a week. It's usually 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's always that game, and I don't brew for us. I can home brew, and I can be dangerous, but that's kind of the game of, in and out. Shift this over here. This beer can go here, and then this one in time for this, and this yeast, and then we can harvest this yeast. So it's a fun game they play with creating space. When do we brew? When do we create space? When do we transfer?
So you said Kyle. He's the main brewer then? Do you have an assistant?
So our main brewer is Scott.
Scott,
right
okay.
Now. Yep. So Kyle started us off brewing.
Okay.
We had a really awesome brewer to begin with that helped us get going. He went off to start his own, and then so Kyle took it on, and Kyle's kind of pulled back as we've grown distribution. Kyle's kind of pulled back, and right now our brewer Scott he's on fire. He's fantastic, and he has an assistant Victor as well.
Okay. You said the original person left. Where did he open?
His name is Joe, and he opened Soul. I think it was Soul Artisan Ales. I don't want to mess it up for him.
Okay.
So Soul Artisan Ales, and now it is Separatist Brewing.
Separatist. Oh, okay. I've heard of them.
Yep,
Okay.
and he has a really cool brew pub in Easton. So I'll give him a shout out. What's up,
Okay.
Joe?
Perfect. Let's pretend that someone brand new comes into your brewery.
Okay.
What would you recommend to someone who is brand new to craft beer?
Oh, wow. Well, so I'm a sales guy, right?
Sell me.
So, well, that to say, to be a great sales guy is to be a good listener, right? So I have if I'm selling you anything, I have a million questions that I need to ask you first, right? Because I had to find your background. But of that is, hey, what do you like to drink, right? And what flavors do you like? So, I mean, not even beer, right? It's important. Are you beer, wine, liquor, right? Where you're at, but also what flavors like? Are you a coffee? Are you a coffee person? Are you a Keurig coffee person, or are you a what are those fancy French press?
French press, yep.
Because if you're a French press coffee person, hey, now I know you like bitter right? Some bitter flavors. Then let's look at some IPAs, right? If you're hey, I like to drink iced tea, then maybe not so much, and we'll kind of get there. And if it's easy enough, and it's, hey, this is what I like in beer, here's what I'm a Blue Moon kind of person, right? And we have a Belgian white that right now for the summertime is delicious and perfect. It's called Cruisin', which is pretty sweet. So a lot of it would depend on what somebody likes to drink, right? So to answer, we just played this game a few minutes ago, and you said, hey, I like IPAs. Great, you need to try this. Is the newest thing we have, and people often ask me, what's your favorite beer at Funk? And my answer really is whatever just came out, and then it's Silent Disco. Right, so we have our two flagships, our Citrus and Disco. They're both awesome. And there's a big rivalry from Funk fans, Team Citrus or Team Disco. Some are, no, man, Disco's way better. No way, Citrus is the jam. They're both my children. Like, how do you pick your favorite child? But it's Silent Disco. I like Disco a little better.
I am a huge fan of Double Disco as well.
Nice.
It's very good. I had that on draft a few times at, I think, the Barnstormers, and it's fantastic on draft.
Nice.
Which, that's the way to go. But
do you wanna tease? I don't know that anybody else is gonna know. You're gonna be one of the first people to hear about it.
What's going on? Triple Disco?
I'm not saying there won't be a Triple Disco, but this summer, in a few weeks, so June-ish, early June, we're gonna have Silent Luau.
Okay.
Which is a pineapple disco. Silent Disco pineapple.
Do I have to edit that out?
No, bring it on. Let the people know.
Okay.
It's a little tease. Little tease. Look forward to that.
I do like pineapple. Okay. Are you using actual fruit, puree? Is it
Great question.
Straight from the hops, or?
I don't know. We're going to add some fruit.
Okay.
I don't know what the guys decided on.
Okay.
Judging what do we normally? We get an aseptic fruit puree.
Okay.
Is how we typically do it. So I would be surprised if it's not that.
Everything you make's good, so whatever. I'll trust you guys.
Yes.
I will trust.
That's what I
the
feel about it.
judgment-
Hey guys, this is what we need. Make it awesome, and they always
just
do.
Make me a product that I can easily sell. As long as it doesn't taste like tar, we're good. One thing that I noticed about you guys, I feel like you've done something that most other breweries haven't done, and I think they should capitalize on. You guys kind of have a mascot. You have a little hop man. Can you tell the people kind of how he became and a little bit about him who might not realize he's even a thing?
Sure. I'd love to. Well, first off, he's on. So if you notice, that's how you can tell. I don't know if you can see in there, but he's right on that. He's on the top of the can. Hop man, we call him. Yep. And the story is not as awesome as you think, but a lot of people can learn from it. So I'm going to end up shouting out a company. But we used a place called 99 Designs. If you go to 99designs.com, they are, and it's before we knew people that did graphics. So you just go in there. Hey, we need a logo. We're Funk. We need a logo, and we make beer. And you throw it out, and you pick your price based on, what you want to sell.
Oh, it's like Fiverr.
Okay, yeah, similar.
Okay.
And so basically, graphic artists compete for your thing, and the person that won, we just asked them to change a couple colors, and I forget what it was, maybe $500, and that person got $500, and we've got a brand and a mascot and the whole nine. So we've kind of branded him, and it goes with what we kind of stand for in beer, and that is we're fun. Beer's fun. Funk is a fun brand. Beer should be fun. Beer's something you enjoy with your friends. Beer's something you enjoy with people in your company. You have great conversations, and that, to us, that's beer. Funk is the beer you bring to a party, right? That's what we're talking about, and it doesn't mean you have to sacrifice quality. Doesn't have to be serious, and that's where we sit. Is we make really awesome beers, but we also like to have a fun time.
Okay. Kind of ties right into the next one. If you look at the can, I don't know if you can see here. If you look at the can here, you can kind of notice that he now is kind of wearing an outfit. Every single one of the cans have now been rebranded recently, and I think they look amazing.
Thank you.
How did that all come to be? How did you guys decide it was the time to rebrand everything, and how did you decide to do clothing?
Yes, so the clothing piece is, it just fits with Hot Man because it kind of looks like he's wearing a suit of some sort, and that's how our flagship started. So Citrus and Disco that way with a funky pattern and a big collar. So it was a really cool design there, and it was just a couple pieces. So we've had a lot of folks help us with some graphic design that are very smart and very talented. We recently had an advertising company just take a peek at it. And they're folks that were regulars in Emmaus and Funk fans said, hey, let's talk through some things with you. And they kind of helped us realize, and shoot, the thing that they realized is the for our original can art, copy that, stick with that, because everything just like this. So everything's vertical, right? You can see it's Funk, you can see the name of the beer, and you can tell exactly what it is. Nordic style India Pale Ale. So boom, while that can's there, everything looks uniform, right? And that's what's tough as a beer, right? So I find that as a beer drinker, there's so many great options, but the downside is I hate to hunt for where, who makes, I've seen so many cool labels, I'm like, I don't even know who makes this.
Yeah.
And you have to hunt for that. So we want to make it very clear, and they say 4 and 4. So if you're within 4 feet of the product, you should be able to recognize it in 4 seconds. That's what we're going for.
Perfect. Yeah, I would agree with you. There's right now there's so many beers out there. Not so much in certain like stouts. Obviously, they're kind of a little bit less. But IPA is very heavy right now. So having a recognizable can that looks good is just as important as the beer inside right now. You really need to sell yourself, and I think it's a nice, clean look that you guys have come to. It's really, really good. I'm not going to say that your old labels were bad.
Right. Well, it's not like it was a huge change, right?
Yeah,
most folks haven't even noticed a rebrand. It's kind of more where
it's
just
a very
that
subtle
vertical
little change, and it works really well. The only ones that haven't been changed are like bikes. Cruising, I think, is there.
Yeah, Cruising there. The new bikes. When you see this season's bikes, you'll see it. Yep,
okay. I know Sledge just came out.
Yep, Sledge is our winner. So that was probably the last one that didn't.
think
And again, there's nothing. They're the same. They're just on different. You just have to turn the can to get what you need.
Yep.
And now, no longer.
I had this question kind of later on, but I'm just going to segue right into it. One of the things that I saw recently, and I love it, is your pipe dreams. You have some of the other ones, like you have the one that looks like the race car. I don't remember what it was. You had Chomp for Pac-Man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had Super Pursuit mode, which was like Outrun.
Outrun, yeah. So, are you a video game guy at all? And if so, kind of like, are there any more coming out? I love that series.
Yeah, so for sure. Yep. And so look, we'll do Pipe Dream again twice this year.
Okay.
So in order to fit this scheme, look for a really interesting. I don't mind teasing it on your show, but I'm not positive we'll be able to get it done with the labels.
Okay.
But if we can pull off what we're trying to do, it will be really cool. Really cool.
Is it Mario again?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
I know the original Pipe Dream was the warp levels.
Yep. So, so we had Pipe Dream, then we had a warp zone to get you out of, right? We're trying to jump past 2020, and so we've done some. Yep. Now we did a Mario 3, so it'll be Mario. It'll be a little different. But yeah, we kind of take on play on the Mario. I hope not enough to upset them, But the short answer to your question is we're children of the '80s. Right, so we are all just kind of 40, So we grew like the '80s and then that early '90s that molded us, right? So whether it's the original OG Nintendo or even Super Nintendo, really got us to and you'll notice mixtape. We make a sour series called Mixtape, which is that from back in the day when you wanted to have this, when you wanted a playlist. I try to explain to my kids, when you want a Spotify playlist, you had to put a tape in and record, wait for it to come on the radio, or when it was really intricate, I would borrow a friend's tape and tape off of their tape, right? So if it's that, we do we do fun things with movies, with music. We try to, we have Rumble, Royal Rumble that looks similar to Ride the Lightning.
Yes.
Not enough to get a letter,
I saw that.
But it's funny. So somebody's like, "Man, what if Metallica sends you a cease and desist?" And I'm like, "Well,
frame
one, I will cease and desist, and two, I will frame that. I will make copies. I will blow it up. I'll be like, Metallica knows who we are, and we will stop."
Lars, just come here in person.
Yeah, right. You say that to my face. Literally, come here, but also sign this and take a picture of me.
I love that. There's so many great classic memories. There's so many things that I'm not that old. I'm like, but I can remember 33, 34. I can't remember half the time. But so many things like Talk Boys, laser discs, recording with VHS and putting tape over it. So there's so many things that people just don't see anymore. Hand a kid something that's not a touchscreen and they don't know what to do with it. That's a big one. But what would you say is your go-to OG game that you still love to play the most?
So pretty much as a dad, so I have 3 kids, so I'm proud. You asked me before, tell me about you. I didn't. I started telling you about my company. And my answer, and my quick, because it's a nice segue, is first and foremost, I'm a dad. I'm a really proud dad and rugby coach, and I'll be husband as well. But I have 3 kids. So with my youngest boy, I really all of the Lego things, we crush it. They are so much fun. But the only game that I don't have a ton of time to play stuff, but Madden. I never miss the new Madden. I get it the instant it's out, right? But to answer what's my OG game, when I'm playing on a retro Pi, it's Tecmo Bowl.
Okay.
Tecmo, I love, right? And I realize that's boring because I just said Madden, but there is something like if you said which is better gameplay, the newest Madden or the first Tecmo? Tecmo Bowl is so much fun to play.
Just play with Bo Jackson and you're unstoppable.
Yes, you had the rules. You can't play with Bo Jackson, you can't play with Lawrence Taylor.
There's actually, my one friend, I've known him since he's had 33 subs on YouTube, and now he's at like 67,000. He actually did a secrets of Tecmo Bowl, and it is actually a fact that Bo Derek, yeah, that's
Bo Derek? She's great. I loved her in Tommy Boy.
That's a completely different person. He is actually overpowered compared to the other ones. There was a Japanese programmer that fell in love with American football, saw Bo Jackson, and said, wow, that guy's awesome. I want to make him better than everyone else in the game. So it is actually a proven fact that Bo Jackson is better than everyone in the game stat-wise. So it's really weird that they did that, but...
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, Japanese culture, they didn't know what football was, but he kind of caught it and fell in love.
That's what the 80s do,
yeah,
right? They make the heroes.
Just what happened.
I'll tell you what, one thing I want to share with you is and I've been playing this with my son, is there's an NHL 94 on the Xbox.
Yeah.
It's the gameplay of the Super Nintendo NHL game.
Okay.
But it's current teams, current rosters, current teams, but it's in that NHL, like hockey. I don't want to poo-poo any of the new hockey, but that was the best style of hockey.
Sometimes they overthink it. Just like Tecmo Bowl, I still have the theme of Blades of Steel in my head.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. I love that game. I love all the old ones. I can play Excite Bike till the day goes down. Metroid is probably one of my favorites. But do you play anything other that's new besides like Madden? Are you? I mean, obviously, if you play with your kids, probably Minecraft, Among Us.
Well, my kids play Among Us. We haven't done the Minecraft.
Okay.
None of my kids have really gotten too much into those, or the what's that first-person shooter that everybody goes nuts for?
Apex Legends, Overwatch.
Nah,
There's
it's the free one on it. Fortnite.
Fortnite. Oh,
so we haven't done
yeah,
that. So
Fortnite.
so none of my kids have gotten into any. I used to like first-person shooters, but none of my kids. I remember playing Quake when I was in college. It was my jam.
Yep, Unreal Tournament.
But right now, actually, what I play with all of my family is then we go over to the Switch and we play all the Mario. We just got the newest Mario, which is great. Which leads back to right. So Mario's always been there for me. You name it, from the original Nintendo to the Game Boy Mario, all the way up. So we have every Mario there is on the Switch. We got the newest one, and now, right, we can go all 4 of us, and it's like when we play that, it's loud, and we're stop jumping on my head and screaming, put me down. We're all trying to win, screaming at each other. Mm-hmm. So, but it's a lot of fun.
I love that they re-released that. Unfortunately, the Wii U did not sell at all, so them releasing that stuff and all the competitive, who gets the crown at the end is always a big thing. I know Mario Party has ended a lot of friendships. Same with Mario Kart. I still remember that on 64, along with GoldenEye. That was GoldenEye was amazing. So there's tons of memories we could probably go into. But yeah, definitely fun times. I love gaming, and I love how no matter your age, you can kind of connect back with the newer generation and kind of go from there.
And not for nothing, right behind us is a really cool, I don't want to sidetrack, there's a really cool distillery behind us, Pine Creek Spirits. In there is an NBA Jam.
Let's actually talk about that. You said there's Pine Creek back there.
Yep.
That's kind of like a side project type thing, another business. Tell the people at home, if they come to this Elizabethtown section, what's back there? What can they go see?
So if you come to Elizabethtown, you get all the great things funk, right? So everything awesome of funk beers that you love. A really awesome menu. And then in the back, so just a short walk through the hallway, go past the bathroom, and it's a whole new world. So there's Pine Creek Spirits back there. It's a business. I'm part owner. There's 4 of us total, but I'm part of it back there, and it's a very new. So it's not even 2 years old.
Oh,
we
nice.
got opened at the worst and best time, right?
Hey,
Right
great.
before we just were able to make vodka, right before the pandemic. But when it hit and they closed the liquor stores down for 3 weeks, that was the busiest.
Oh,
it's like,
everyone's
oh man, it went from nobody's ever heard of it to everybody knows this is the only place you can get vodka around. So, and we did all the things. We made hand sanitizer and stuff. So it's a really cool project. It started out as just something I really enjoyed, and luckily I have really great partners that have been able to elevate it and do some cool stuff. We make all kinds of spirits back there, including the top seller right now, which is a strawberry lemonade vodka with glitter in it, and it's pink.
I think just for fun, we're going to sample that for sure.
Nice.
Just to say that we did, we'll record that. So you said you've got gin, you've got whiskey, you've got rum.
Yeah.
Now you said that you have some stuff coming that's not quite out yet. What do we have coming in the future pipeline?
For the distillery?
Yep.
We were just playing around with some flavored whiskeys. So
Okay.
there's some cool stuff out there. Everybody knows the Crown flavors that are killing it. There's a banana whiskey called Howler that I am loving. I don't know if you've tasted it.
I've not had that, no.
So it is way more whiskey than banana,
Okay.
right? So it has that, not to knock any of the ones that are very sweet. It's not. It's this is whiskey. Hey, there's some banana. And I like that very much. I like the sweet ones too, but I can't drink a lot of sweet anything in a row.
Yeah, it can get a little bit overpowering with all that sugar kind of flavor, like the artificial taste. So I think that's a good way to approach it, because you still, you buy whiskey for the whiskey.
Right.
The flavor's kind of there. I know flavored everything was the rage. Like vodka has every single flavor under the sun, from whipped cream to birthday cake. So I don't know how they do that. It's probably black magic, but yeah, it's cool that you guys have that as well.
Another switch back to the brewery.
Go for it.
So at Funk, one thing that I don't want to say proud of, but one thing that we've made a decision, hey, here's what we're going to do. We tried one time early in it and haven't, is we don't make beers with milk sugar or lactose in them.
Yeah, good.
So,
Okay.
and again, that's a great market, the folks that do it. There's some that I've had that are really awesome, but a lot of times they're very sweet, and it's not my thing, right? And I'm smarter than, we don't only make stuff that I like, right? If we only made stuff that us and the brewers liked, we'd only make lagers, we'd only make traditional German styles, probably. That's all we would make, right? But we make stuff for the people, but we figured on those lactose beers. And Kyle Funk is vegan, so he's going, hey, you know what? I want people that are vegan to know I can drink a Funk beer and not any of their IPAs. I don't have to ask, I don't have to question, hey, I just know this is going to be okay for me vegan-wise. It's not going to mess up my stomach or anything else.
Good. I know a lot of breweries are starting to try to look more into the health conscious side. Mood Doc does stuff where all their stuff is gluten reduced. A lot of breweries don't like the fake lactose stuff. One, because of the flavor, and there are people there's kind of a stigma. It can taste bad. So if you see that, you might not order it just because, and never try it. So it's kind of good that you're doing that. You're as natural as you can be almost, and the flavors are great.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, so it's not saying there's anything wrong with lactose. We just want to make that move hey, this is something that you'll know that, hey, you don't have to worry about it.
Good, yeah. Good.
And we are, and that's part of it. We're all athletes. So everyone here, my folks here, there's a couple of us that are power lifters, and I play rugby and coach rugby, and Kyle is a cyclist and is very competitive. So in some capacity, we are all still athletic. Right. For children of the '80s, we're still, for guys that probably shouldn't be, we're still trying to do cool things athletically.
That makes sense, because a lot of your beers, they're still flavorful, but they don't feel super heavy. They're very drinkable, so you can take them to a party and have a whole bunch of them and not feel like you're weighed down. You did say that your favorite is lagers and stuff like that. You do have Funktoberfest, which is fantastic. It's a nice Marzen style. Do you have any other stuff that's more of the traditional? Do you have a Pils or anything like that?
We make a Pils from time to time. We call it Bishop Heinrich. It's really good when it's out. It's really, really good when it's out. But right now we have, so it's not traditional German style, but we have, it's called Casual Lager. Okay. And our intent is to have it available, at least in our brew pubs, if not everywhere else, all the time, but for sure in our brew pubs. And it's an American lager. And we actually got the Budweiser yeast. And it is Funk Brewing makes a yellow beer with the Budweiser lager yeast, and So yeah, you'll try. I love it.
That's awesome.
It's really
I
good.
like
So now I've come full circle, right? So from a guy who only had Bud Light in his kegerator for 10 years to, oh, here we go. Now we've got a funk beer with the same yeast, and it's similar. I'm not saying we copied Budweiser per se, but you go, oh, okay, that's that style. That's the, not a Yingling lager, right? A lot of folks around here equate lagers to Yingling, but
Yep.
Budweiser is the biggest lager of all time, right?
Yeah, it's crazy because you just go into a brewery, right, or any restaurant. You say I want a lager, they just give you Yingling because they know.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we can change that eventually.
Again, nothing. That's awesome for them. You
Yeah.
know, just like Kleenex, right? Hey, hand me a Kleenex, right? Now it's a tissue. They nailed it.
Yeah.
Yingling Lagers nailed it.
And,
At some point, if you go into a bar and you want an IPA, we just go, let me get a funk, and they just give you whatever IPA is on. That's what I'm
That's what
trying to
we're
get
hoping
to. If we can do that.
That would be awesome. Obviously, COVID impacted a lot of people. A lot of people had to pivot and do different things to stay afloat. So, what did you guys have to do to remain not only profitable, but I mean, you're obviously still here. What did you guys do in order to stay here?
Sure. Well, a lot of businesses in general, especially in our industry, whether it's breweries or just restaurants and whatnot, had to make some really hard decisions. So I just want, first off, if you're a brewery, right, if you're in a restaurant and whatever decision you made for this, we're rooting for you, right? We're rooting for you, and I hope it works, and I hope you do well, and I hope we all come out on the other side, right? And again, we picked what we decided, but I get, I think that's important to say is that folks that do it differently, hey man, it's just a bunch of businesses trying to go on. No one has any idea. This is what we think is the best, right? And I don't want to knock anybody for that. Mm-hmm. So what we decided early on is what's most important to us. So first off is we like our license, so let's not jeopardize that. Mm-hmm. And it's tough times, so let's not put ourselves in a position where we could get a fine because we can't afford it, right? We got to tighten up. So that's one piece, and then the other is we owe our customers. We just want to be a place where our customers feel safe. So we follow the rules, but nothing. We don't go over the top crazy, and we follow it that way. So somebody asks, "Oh, what do you do?" Like so for some of the gray area, if you will, is well, hey, will it cost us a fine? Is it safe for our customers? And that's how we made every decision that we've done so far, right? Is that's what we're trying to do. And then as business-wise, we are lucky in that we had distribution ahead of time, especially in some of the chains. So, we love all of our bottle shop and beer distributor partners. And it's great that they were able to take on some brew pubs that didn't distribute before, and now they can, so they could survive. But for us, we looked at, we also had the chains as well. So to have that ahead of time, right, to be able to move some more beer through there, especially when there was a lot more chain beer being bought than ever,
yes.
Right? Because people were, how long are we gonna be inside? How long is it gonna be like this? And so on. So we kind of looked out there, but on top of it, we have really great fans of funk or followers, supporters. I guess I don't know what the great word is for it, but we're so thankful. We're so thankful for all the people that supported us at both of our locations, with for all the takeout and the beer and so on.
Yeah, COVID was insane. I know where I work, we thought it was only going to be a couple of months. Fast forward, we're now at a year and some change at this point. So, like you said, you kind of had to do what was best for you. There was a lot of people that were super strict. They weren't going to open. They weren't going to do anything because, like you said, you don't want to lose that license. The license is expensive. It's a thing that, PLCB, we all know that they can be special. But there were some places that stayed open, and there was kind of rivalries between some places. I know some places we supported. Other places didn't like that they were open more than that they should have been. So it was a dark time, and I really don't like that negativity that came. So I'm really happy that finally we have bar seating back, which is really nice. You no longer have to buy food. So if I don't buy a hot dog, I won't potentially get COVID. But I will say that you guys do have amazing food, which is a rarity. A lot of times you go to a brewery, the food is, do you want a hot dog? Do you want something subpar? there's a few like shining stars in that. I would say you're definitely one of them. You have really, really good food. I like your chili. Your nugs are good, as you call them. Your chef is killing it. So congratulations to Chef Tyler for everything he's doing. He's keeping people healthy, well-fed, everything like that. So I'm glad you guys are still here. You're surviving, everything like that. So congratulations to not only surviving, but what's going forward. Which that was a question that I kind of had. We'll just tie it right in here. So now that you've survived COVID, and if people can survive COVID, I feel like you can survive almost anything except for Prohibition 2.0. Where do you see Funk in the next 5 years? What's your plan moving forward?
Wow. I hate that question, right? But let me tell you why, right? And I'm not saying I'm not. Oh, I can't believe that. Let me explain why I hate that question.
He ripped his shirt, guys.
5 years.
I'll give you 1 year, 2 years.
Right. Well, you will always sell yourself short. I feel like.
Okay.
Right. Or we will, or most folks. I feel like if you think, oh, this is what I want in 5 years. I mean, 5 years is longer than you realize. Don't sell yourself short. Set yourself a stretch goal, and that's hard. But yeah, here is our intent. So we're in most of the Mid-Atlantic distribution-wise.
7 states, I believe, is what I read.
Yep. And we do some things here and there. There's some so the Tavors of the world, and there's some partners that we work with that get into some cool spots. But we want to basically just continue down East Coast. So we want to get a little more distribution there. We're looking to over the course of the next year or so upgrade our tap room in Emmaus even more. So it's the beer garden is the coolest. The beer garden outside is the coolest it's ever been, and like I said, there's really awesome food. The Lehigh Valley has some of the coolest food trucks around, so we have a really cool rotation of food trucks there. The beer garden outside's great. Now we have a big projector, so you can watch the game if you want in there.
Cool.
Yeah, and it sits right over the brew house, so it's awesome. But we're going to upgrade that. Our intent is to upgrade that and even more, and get some more space for people, and even more compelling. So that's one piece to that. The other is to expand our distribution, and we'd love to. My dad's a Marine. So I moved all around, all up and down the East Coast. And one of my faves as a child was in North Carolina. So we haven't made it that far yet. So we'd like to just work our way down. And if we can be relatively East Coast and have the biggest, coolest tap room in the Lehigh Valley, that'd be a pretty good 5-year goal.
What 7 states are you in?
So it's probably even more than what I said. So if we start at our northmost, so we're in Connecticut and Massachusetts. So Massachusetts is new to us, and that's been a really cool market. Connecticut's also a really cool market. They got closed down very hard. So COVID really impacted a lot of businesses in Connecticut. We do upstate New York, Pennsylvania. We are as far west into Pennsylvania as the Harrisburg to State College line.
Okay.
So we're anxious to get into Pittsburgh.
To Allegheny and all that.
Yes, so we're very anxious to get there. So Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, Delaware. Oh, so there we go, 8.
Okay.
I can count on my fingers. Yeah, so we're in those 8 states, like I said. So we partner with Tavor, also who does their. So I imagine most of your listeners have it, right? They understand the beer app.
Are ridiculous.
We don't have that in places where you can get our beer distributed. So in Pennslouvania, you can get. So I would say use Tavor in Pennsylvania, but you can't get Funk.
Okay.
Because that point is, hey, go to your local place and buy Funk there. And also all of the states that we're already in, Tavor doesn't do. We work with another company that hits little drops. So they've dropped some in North Carolina and kind of teased it out and done some cool things.
Do you guys ship it all? I don't believe you do.
We don't.
Okay.
We don't.
Any plans on shipping? Because I know that's how a lot of people stayed afloat as well during COVID.
I don't think so. Never say never, never say forever. But right now we really like our wholesale partner relationships.
Okay.
So I think that's the long game. I think is there. And if there's a place we're trying to get to, then hey, let's build our brand. If it's North Carolina, instead of shipping there, let's build our brand in North Carolina, for example, right? And if it's a wild place that we're like, that's not East Coast, if it's Washington State or California, hey, check us out on the Tavor. We'll do that.
Okay.
Right? And they do a really good job. They only pick what they think is the coolest stuff.
The best, and yeah. Right now is not necessarily the best time to get into beer, but if someone is watching that is getting into craft beer, they're thinking about maybe getting into, like making their own brewery, they're trying to get into, what would you recommend? What advice do you have for someone that wants to get into craft beer and actually make their own?
Gotcha. Oh, so when you first said that, I was like, man, I completely disagree. This is the best time to get into craft beer. You meant to make craft beer.
To make
right?
your own, yep.
For somebody that's just learning craft beer, there's never been a better time in history, right? There are so many options, so many beers, so many styles that you couldn't get your hands on. So, but that said, yeah, that's the downside if you want to get into a brewery, is there's so many. It's very crowded. It's a very crowded market. I would say find your niche. So, not unlike any business, find yourself a niche, and that maybe that's a gimmick. It doesn't need to be, I don't necessarily mean gimmick, but there's nothing wrong with a gimmick as well. But have a thing that hey, this is our jam. This is what we do. We do IPAs, or we do sours, or we have this crazy sour program, or we only do, I'm not saying only do whatever, but have a thing that people go, yo, if you want this, you got to go, like that's the place for it, right?
You said you started in a garage. Obviously, Mr. Beer is something that some people can get. But is there any recommendation of just starting equipment? Anything that you think people should shy away from? Anything that you learned from your time that you should avoid?
Nah, go for it. Have fun. I would look at beer. It's a longer payoff, right? To wait for your beer than a recipe. But just like if you see something on the recipes on TikTok now, there's some cool stuff, and I want to make this or try that. Like you wouldn't say, oh well, I want to wait for the. Just get after it, have fun. You can do it, Mr. Beer. You can do it on your stove. And I made a Mr. Beer a really long time ago, and it was gross. Not Mr. Beer's fault. I didn't do a good job. But I had a Mr. Beer kit. I put it in that plastic thing, and I made this gross beer. And I just don't think it fermented. It was really sweet. It was just supposed to be a yellow beer. Like an ale and not even a pale ale, just and it not awesome, shall we say? But yeah, have fun, do it. You can do it in a pot on your stove and an empty gallon water jug if you wanted. There's some have fun, figure it out, throw stuff in it, experiment recipes.
This is how Walter White got started. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, maybe.
This one is you kind of answered. But what is your favorite and least favorite style to brew if you had to make something?
Oh, favorite and least favorite to make. Man, I wear so many different hats, right? So I'm thinking as business norm, right? So business norm is my least favorite style to make is a double IPA. There's so much hops that go in there. They're very expensive, right? So that's my least, but as well, as a home brewer, okay, I'll give you all. I'll give you all the guys, right?
Awesome.
So at business norm, least favorite is double IPA, but that's what people love, and we do a really good job. Not to pat ourselves on the back, I don't make it. Our team do a really good job with double IPAs. But as a home brewer, I really like making stouts.
Okay.
And part of that reason is there's a lot of cool flavors that line up with stouts, but the other part is it hides mistakes. So for me, I'm not the best home brewer, but I can make you a pretty good stout because I can hide flavors that won't come out because I didn't hit the right temperature during fermentation, or I didn't have. And when I say clean, I mean like completely sterile, like nothing was. If something gets compromised, or whatever, so I can hide that in a stout. The thing I don't like to make is then an American lager or a German lager because there's nothing to hide in it. And again, not as an ego. But if I'm just drinking, if I'm making the beer that I'm going to drink, and I used to, right? So I used to make a lot of the beers and drank them, and yeah, it's just hard because then I can taste and I'll drink in my own lager and I'll be like, I can taste. Yeah, I know that went up to 74 degrees. I knew I was going to get that whatever flavor in it, and and you can't fake it or hide it. And even if other people don't notice, like I do,
yep.
So in that, but now you flip it, and for the brewery. Our guys love to make the German styles just because there's something awesome about the tradition, and we do a really killer job. And I'm the proudest of this casual lager, and we'll try it because there's no hiding. Like it's just showing, man, they crushed it. Our brewers did such a good job. And again, I don't want to be that guy, but man, I'm thrilled at how they do it. So I really like those, and that's what I like. That's what I came up on is yellow beer that you can have a couple of
beer flavored beer.
Right? I'm a big football guy. I like to tailgate the game. If you tailgate with double IPAs, you don't see the game, right? You can tailgate with some American
That is
hot dogs,
true.
right?
Yeah, that is true. Dewclaw makes one called regular beer,
Nice.
which is awesome. It's just a completely white label, and then just like Arial font just says regular beer, and it just says beer flavored beer, which is
That's
a throwback to what beer used to taste like before some of this IPA heavy stuff went over. New England IPAs are huge. Kind of circling back a little bit, where you said 5 years was too far to think out, you made me think of the fact that who knows where the market is even going. I know brute IPAs were a thing for maybe about 3 weeks.
Yeah, they
Everyone
didn't
wanted to
catch
do
on,
it.
huh?
They didn't catch on.
But milkshake IPAs are here. They're here to stay, it looks like.
They're here. New England IPAs are really heavy in our area, but there are already some places that are kind of starting to shift back to the West Coast, American IPAs, that kind of more standard, which whatever sells, you do your thing.
I like them all. I think they're right. They're different. A West Coast IPA and a New England style, Northeast style, whatever you want to call it. Hazy, juicy IPA. They're just very different. We were talking gins earlier, just like gins. Gins are different, and they're just different styles. And West Coast IPAs are awesome. We make a killer West Coast IPA called The Fallen, and it's to support Gold Star Family Memorials. And
Okay.
I could talk to you for hours on that.
I was gonna say, so I recently at a beer store saw the Fallen, and it's got all the names on there. Can you talk a little bit about that? What are those names? Who are they representing?
Yeah, great question. So, The Fallen is a beer that we make with a partner. So, an employee of ours that is our VP of wholesale. He also is starting a brewery in Virginia called One Family, and on his property where One Family Brewing will eventually be, he has the first Gold Star Memorial in Northern Virginia. So we partnered together, and we've made a couple additions. So I'm not answering your question yet, right? But I'm getting there.
Okay.
So because I want to lay the groundwork. So what is a Gold Star family? So Gold Star family is anyone who's lost a child, a husband, a wife to combat, right? And a Gold Star Family Memorial has those names, and it's for them, and it's to support Gold Star. It used to just be Gold Star moms, but hey, dads cry too, right? So it's all of it. So it's really to support the Gold Star families, and really for those folks that were willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice, right, for our freedom. And the answer to your question is, what are those names on there? Those are all names, all folks that have their families have consented, want their names on there. We're coming out with our 5th version, so there's 50 names on every can, 50 new names coming on this one. So they were all lost, either killed in action or to PTSD suicide, which is real. It's unfortunate, and we lose a lot of heroes that way as well. So it's important that both of those are the reasons. And like I said, so my dad's a Marine. My dad's a retired lieutenant colonel from the Marine Corps, and that's one. There's some things about Funk that we love to support that are our values, right? And that is cancer. We hate cancer. Cancer, military, and athletics, right? Especially youth athletics. We want to support those. So those are if you say, hey, what do you guys care about? That's what we care about as far as giving back. Giving back is important. And this is a really cool project for us. So we love doing it.
Awesome. Kind of segueing off of that, like what you value. You said you hate cancer. For anyone that's watching, Stephen Amell is from Arrow. He is one of the big names for Fuck Cancer. That is a big anti-cancer campaign that he has raised millions for. Thankfully, when you get a celebrity behind something, people pay attention. I know there's Wounded Warrior, there's a lot of different stuff. Is there any charities that you kind of throw your money to, or anything that you really support that you really want to announce? Or?
I mean, so if nothing else, right now the Herschel Woody Williams, I was going to say Herschel Walker. Herschel Woody Williams Gold Star Family Memorial Fund is more than just memorials. They do a lot of scholarships for children of the fallen. They do a really good job. They've been vetted. They do a great job of pointing money in the right direction. So that's one that we are really passionate about. Otherwise, there's not that there's any good or bad. We just try to keep it as local.
Okay.
Right. So we go,
Good.
here are the things. Here are the important things to us. Right. And there's a lot of folks that want and need, and they're all just wanting donations for everything. We kind of had to go, all right, this is what we stand for. And we try to keep it as local as possible.
Good.
And if there's something we can do for a person locally or a family locally, or, that's how we try. And that's why it's always a little bit different.
Good. I love to hear that. Herschel Walker probably needs stuff too. He did. I mean, what happened on the farm was terrible, but This one's a question for you, and I see that you said you were from St. Louis and everything, but a lot of the designs for Funk for the clothing kind of are a little bit of a throwback to the Phillies. You've got a lot of Phillies inspired gear and merch. Are you a Phillies fan?
I'm a Phillies fan in law.
Okay.
And but which is fine. And for those of you that are Phillies fans, so first off, we're Lehigh Valley, which Lehigh Valley is pretty much Philly.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, but it is. For sports wise, it is, right? All the minor league teams are there. So a lot of Funk is very much Philly. However, I've always, my grandfather loved the Phillies. And I can remember, here's a fun story I'll share. So I remember watching the College World Series with my dad. Some of my fondest moments are watching College World Series baseball in the 80s with my dad. And I can remember a guy who was destroying for Wichita State, killing all the time. His name was Pete Incaviglia, who later, eventually they called him Inky. When I met, my wife is from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which is north of Philly, between. And in her room, she had a Pete Incaviglia poster because her family is very Phillies. And I was like,
Okay.
This is the girl. That's how I know this is the girl I should marry. Right? She's got, it all kind of came full circle. So yeah, very much Phillies, and that's our fans, and that's where we are, right? So when I say we're local, like we are, we're local, and we're proud of it. We're from that section of Pennsylvania. Let's go.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. This is part 2 of the question. I wanted to see what you're going to do. Right now, the Phillies are doing well. They started off pretty decent for a change. We're going to see how you do. We're going to fast forward later. What is your prediction for the season? What do you see the Phillies doing this year?
What do I see for the Phillies?
What is your prediction?
Man, I'm not as good on baseball, but
They got Romuto. They've got a lot of.
yeah, I like their players. They're doing better than you think. Well, here's if I had to bet on how it was going to play out, I'm going to say that the Mets. So the Mets have killer pitching.
Yes.
They ought to be right up there, and they're not living up to expectations. The Phillies ought to, based on their players, they ought to maybe not run away with it, but be the clear leader. However, I've been around it. I've seen not just the Phillies, but all of the Philly sports teams. I think it's safe to say they will snatch your heart out right at the end of the season, right?
The Eagles have a way to lose. The Flyers were doing amazing, and I don't know what happened. They're falling. But yeah, the Phillies are doing really well, and right now that division's not looking too great. So the Marlins look horrible. Washington, they lost Harper a few years ago, and they're not doing very well. But yeah, like you said, the Mets, you've got really, really good pitching. You've got DeGrom, who, unfortunately, his win-loss record doesn't reflect how good he is.
He's throwing a one-hitter, and they're tied 0-0 in the ninth, right?
He gets no run support. They just got Lindor, so I feel like it probably will be a Mets and Phillies showdown if all plays the way that it should. Because the East kind of reminds me of the NFC East. It's not really great. Anyone at any time can get it. But yeah, we'll see how you do. See if the Phillies come out on top. We'll come back to this in 100 and probably 40-some games left in the season. At least they're playing a full year this year. That last year was weird.
It's neat. It's neat seeing fans. It's neat seeing people at the bar. I just watched. I'm a wrestling geek. I still like wrestling. Well, not a ton, but I love all the main things. So WrestleMania was this past weekend.
Just happened,
and man, luckily there's no rules in Florida, but they had a lot. It was cool seeing a crowd, hearing a crowd for WrestleMania was just goosebumps, man.
Not having the Thunderdome for 2 nights was really incredible. I know if you watch AEW, they've had some fans here and there in Jacksonville because they can get away with it. But yeah, it was really weird seeing a full stadium and actually hearing people react.
So, fun facts about me: if you watch AEW,
I am as well, but my mom is the biggest Chris Jericho fan that exists. And we will see. We've been pushed back due to COVID. We've been pushed back several times to see Fozzy, see him as Mongoose McQueen. So hopefully he was going to be at Chameleon Club.
And now they moved to Harrisburg.
Yes, but we're in. I think it's in September.
Yes.
So whatever it is, and one of my BHAGs. So I have a couple BHAGs. Are you familiar with BHAG? All right, I'll share for everybody. So BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. Right? It's not a 5-year.
Okay.
It's that's one, similar to a bucket list, but hey, something you can actually go do.
Chris Jericho cruise.
Yep. I want to go on the Chris Jericho cruise with my mom.
That would be amazing. I remember the first time they did that, they had to figure out the logistics of the ring because of the boat. They actually mounted it down so it wouldn't move. Yeah, I've been a wrestling fan since I was probably 4. Every single month when ECW was in Philadelphia, we went to it, and then when it became 3PW, I've been to WWE, I've been to Starrcade. I was at WrestleMania 15 in Philadelphia. We had the premiere package, so we stayed at the DoubleTree with them.
Man.
So I met The Rock, Stone Cold, everyone. We had a cruise with them. So AEW is like a flashback to the old. And just like you, I've been waiting, like almost a year now to see Fozzy. I also, one of the last AEW pay-per-views, Full Gear, in Baltimore, the Royal Farms. I was there.
Nice.
I think it was like 16th row. I've been to NXT, TakeOver, Brooklyn 4, 3, and 1. And I'm supposed to go to AEW again when they're at the, how do you pronounce it, the Lacaris Center or whatever, like the temple thing. That's been pushed back for how long now? It's supposed to be October. No idea.
I'm thrilled. AEW's they put on a good show. They're doing some cool stuff with cameras. I have daughters, and that's it's very important. So they were the first ones kicking some female referees in there.
Aubrey's amazing.
And really, yeah, and they do such a good job. And they're pushing WWE to really bring it a little more, and they're responding. So
it's great. And if you've seen, they just moved NXT off of Wednesday night. There's no more Wednesday Night War. It's going to be Tuesday because they couldn't win. But yeah, they definitely pushed them, which competition is amazing. Just like with the 83-week war.
NXT could go up against Raw, probably.
Yeah, it's sad.
Depends on what you like.
It's sad to say.
I'm an equal liker of, I like a good promo. That's what my all-time, I'll ask you. Now it's time for my question. Who's your all-time favorite?
All-time favorite. Okay, so it's kind of a time
I'm the same
between
way,
two.
right?
So Stone Cold is absolutely amazing.
Okay.
He is probably one of the
What?
most kick-ass person. What is a big thing? But if I have to say my all-time favorite singles competitor is Kane. From when he debuted by ripping that cell door off, the feud with The Undertaker, all that stuff, where they're brothers, they're not, the brothers are such amazing stuff. If we go favorite tag team of all time, Demolition. I absolutely love
That's
Axe,
my time, Demolition.
Axe, Smash. They're at the same time as like
Crush,
the Bushwhackers.
yeah.
There's a lot of old school people. Like tag team wrestling was a thing back then, which is why I love AEW. They're making thing when you had Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels as the Rockers.
Were the best.
There was amazing stuff. I miss the old '90s gimmick wrestling. Ultimate Warrior, Papa Shango.
So my answer is I'm a Macho Man guy, right? So I love all, right? So as a kid, I was a Hulkster guy. I'm the perfect age to be a Hulkster.
Yep.
When I get out of bed, I have a signed picture of the Hulk.
Take your vitamins.
Right here, ripping his shirt. So that's the first. I wake up and I'm like, yeah, Hulkster. We're gonna have a Hulkster day today, right? But Macho Man, because on the microphone, the Macho Man just murdered it every time on the microphone, and he was really good in the ring. Right, so there's not a lot of guys that are electrifying in both places. Jericho obviously is, right, but guys that can go bell to bell and cut a good promo.
Yeah, Macho Man was great. The one thing I'm scared of is just imagine you're Macho Man trying to pick up a woman at a bar with that voice. Just like, how would that go? But yeah, he was huge too. The Slim Jims and everything back in the day. He was
in the first Spider-Man.
Just as big. Yeah, Bonesaw. Yep, I remember that. That was a great cameo, and unfortunately, we've lost so many people to just death and overdose from stuff. And Chris Benoit, they'll never mention you, but you were one of them. Yeah, sad. Good old days are coming back. I feel hopefully.
There's some cool young talent.
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of good stuff. Jungle Boy, I have high hopes for. Darby Allin is really cool. Them pairing him with Sting is a really cool throwback.
This is probably not the most compelling talk for your listeners. Are they all over it, right? Did you see Riddle? Did you see Riddle's match?
Yeah.
They missed a couple spots.
They did.
But a couple spots they hit that were awesome. The belly to belly off the top.
Yeah.
Was sick.
Yeah, they missed the white noise off of the top rope. He slipped.
I think that was Sheamus going, all right, I slipped a little bit. I don't want you to die.
Yeah, that was probably for the best. We don't need a blue blazer hitting the top of the turnbuckle. Riddle is a very polarizing person. A lot of, like, from bell to bell, he can go. His MMA stuff, he's fantastic. He can sell. I didn't like him when he first came into NXT, but slowly some of his matches, when they let him, he can wrestle, just like Sami Zayn. When they let him, he'll go. But then you have him talk, and that whole, like, I'm a stoner gimmick, and him missing his lines, and him being bad in, like, the back, like, he's got beef with a lot of people. So...
Oh, in real life?
In real life.
That's nice.
Brock Lesnar hates him. There's a few other people that can't stand him. So hopefully he wins them over with his performances, but he can go.
Do you want to hear a sweet inside wrestling story about Brock Lesnar?
Go for it.
Okay. So a really good friend of mine does indie wrestling in Scranton area.
Okay.
His name's Matt Turner, Blue and Gold. He's in the Blue and Gold tag team. I think they're the current champs right now.
Oh, nice.
And he went to the wrestling school with CM Punk, was his train tip. And the story told me, so I guess when Kurt Angle was early in WWE, him and Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle had like a little riff, and Lesnar's like, man, I'll kill you, I would kill you in a wrestling match. And Kurt Angle's like, you won college, I'm an Olympic champion, I beat the best in the world, I'll kill you. Brock Lesnar's like, I'm huge, I'll crush you, blah, blah, blah. So everywhere they went, every city they go to, right, a little something would come out. And finally one day Kurt Angle's in the back, Kurt Angle's like, let's go. They kick their shoes off, and Brock Lesnar's down, so they go a real wrestling match. Kurt Angle pins him in under 2 minutes. And he goes, I'm an Olympic champion.
And let me add to that, he did it with a broken freaking neck.
Yeah, right?
As he always reminds everyone. Yeah.
So not to knock Brock Lesnar, because he's a beast.
Yeah,
But
he has gotten huge, and I mean, he's got an aura. Surprised he hasn't shown back up, but I think he probably will to take on Bobby Lashley eventually. Bobby was actually promised a match against him when he came back and signed, but it never happened because Brock didn't extend the deal. So maybe eventually.
All right, we'll see. And so, just a disclaimer, that story might, as it's gone down the line, it might be embellished. But I have no doubt that occurred in some fashion. That went down and Kurt Angle was victorious.
There's some weird stories backhand that, there's some bad stuff that has happened between wrestlers. But, hey, whatever. It happens. You're on the road 340 days out of the year. You're going to get pissed at somebody. But, we'll kind of wrap up here. A few questions here. What events do you have coming up? I know you do some... you do trivia, I believe. You kind of do the trivia stuff. Is there anything else coming up now that it's kind of relaxing a little bit with the rules?
Yeah, I would say follow us on all the social medias, right? So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And yeah, we like to do, again, we're fun, right? We're the fun brand. We want to do fun stuff. So follow us there. And that's where you'll find out about cool things coming. So yeah, in Elizabethtown, I do trivia every Sunday at 4 o'clock. We have cool specials. There's specials in both locations of Funk. But we have, and at both places, we're going to be doing something cool for the Kentucky Derby. So we'll do some cool drinks. The Kentucky is in, I think, 2 weekends from that. Well, from whenever this airs, who knows? But it's in April. It's a Saturday in April. And our intent is, hey, we missed out on a bunch of holidays. So no reason to not celebrate them.
Okay.
So, hey, we need to do, we still have 2020's Halloween. We ought to do that one. So look for last year's events this year.
Okay.
And we'll do Christmas in July, right? We'll do Ugly Sweater Party in July, a Halloween in maybe sooner, you name it. So that's what we're looking. That's event wise. We just like to have a fun time. And when we do a party at either place, when we do a party at people support it and they have fun and they dress up and they do the costumes and we try to make it an awesome time and make compelling reasons to come on in here.
Nice.
So,
okay.
but like I said, at both our locations, we have. I mean, yeah, I'm biased, but in Eton we have really awesome food and obviously awesome beer. And in Emmaus, we always have a really cool food truck and again, really awesome beer. And you can drink the beer and stand next to the tank. It was just it.
Perfect. Can't get any fresher than that.
Yep.
Just to end it, do you have anything else that you want to tell anyone that's watching at all?
Tell anybody?
Anything. You can say anything you want.
Man, well, my heart wants to tell everybody just treat people with kindness. Period. Nothing else to that, right? So Harry Styles that's his jam, but he's not wrong. right? So hey, if you're around, if you're whatever, if you're in this industry, if you're into beer, if you're not into beer or whatever, if you like wrestling, you don't, whatever you're doing, hey, be nice to people. is one thing I'd like to share. But the other thing about us is check out our website. I don't think websites get enough love anymore now that there's so much social media. And if you go to funkbrewing.com, you can find some cool stuff. So we have an online shop. You can get some sweet merchandise, some cool hats, t-shirts, and so on. But also you can find out about all of our beers. So on there, when you click on a beer, you'll see the sell sheet. You can see the hops that are in it. You can see the yeast we used. You can see the ABV. You can see all of those things about each one of our beers, a little something about it. You can print a poster out, right? So if you're a retailer and you carry Funk, you can print the poster out for the beer you have with something to write in. If you just have a cool basement brewery, you can print it out on an 8.5 by 11 and do that up. So we're proud of our website and some cool stuff on it.
And you did rebrand it. It looks really nice now. It looks really well done. And for anyone that's watching that's not in this area, like you said, Tavour is an option. The beer crates are huge right now, so definitely give them a try on that. You won't really regret it. They have every single style, which is awesome. So I just want to thank you for sitting down with me. It was an absolutely awesome time. We're going to go ahead and probably sample some beers, sample some other stuff. But if you're new to the channel, think about hitting that subscribe button and leave a comment down below. And if you're in the area, definitely come to either the Elizabethtown or the Emmaus or both of them and check out their food and their beer. I want to thank you for sitting down with me, man.
Thank you so much.